Today we're exploring the rise of beauty filters and editing apps that are used to alter one's appearance for social media. It feels like the line between reality and digital enhancement is just getting blurrier and blurrier. So let's talk filters and the impact that they might have on our mental health and self-esteem. Hey, I'm so excited to be speaking with you. Before we get into it, could you just introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Em Clarkson. I am a British content creator and podcaster.
Can you walk us through the current landscape of beauty filters and editing apps that are used on social media?
I don't think there has ever been a time where filtering our image is more prevalent, and that is like across the board. We've got everything from like the apps that you kind of know about, like Facetune, which can make crazy changes, to the filters that are much more subtle, like the Paris filter on Instagram. Generally speaking, they enable you to smooth your skin, make your eyes bigger, nose smaller, face smaller, waist smaller. We can't underestimate the fact that they are used on people's bodies, and I think that's something that I really encourage consumers and social media users to be aware of. You can basically do anything from like little tweakments to a full face of makeup, and you can do it at the press of like 2 or 3 buttons, and it is crazy prevalent.
Currently, what are the most common alterations that you're noticing these filters and apps are encouraging or changing?
The thing we need to be really aware of is the skin smoothing. I deliberately didn't wear makeup to do this conversation today. There is a massive difference between filters and makeup, but I think it's actually so rare for us to see completely raw skin looking back at you in a screen, and that is important sometimes.
On social media, you are so wonderfully, beautifully outspoken against these filters, and I personally love what you are doing to challenge these harmful narratives that we are constantly being pushed. And I'd love to know what got you started in that. Like, what made you want to put yourself out there like that?
As a grown-up, when you look at social media, you realise that the way that we're behaving now makes total sense when you consider the content that we consumed as teenagers and as kids, where we kind of were so anti-imperfection and we were so scared of these imperfections, and we were taught that, like, you know, women couldn't be imperfect in any way, and then all of a sudden we were given the opportunity to make ourselves perfect, even if just, you know, as an illusion, and it makes total sense that we'd go and do that. The effect of it overwhelmingly is so negative because we compare ourselves to something that isn't real, and long term I worry about the mental health implications of what we did then and definitely what we're doing now. So as the filters have grown, my platform's kind of grown at the same time, and I guess I've just been watching it and not loving it, so it kind of made sense as part of all the stuff that I'm trying to tackle that filters, you know, is a big part of it.
We're playing filters advocate for one moment. Do you think there are ever any positives or any benefits from the use of filters or editing apps for social media?
If it enables somebody in that moment to feel brave enough to show up online, which is where their friends are, where their community is, if that helps you connect with people, then yes, I think it helps. And I only say that because it's obviously helping, because the bold glamour filter has been used 600,000 times since its inception last year. So the proof is in the pudding there, but we have to take a step back. Smoking helps people feel less stressed. It doesn't mean it's good for you. Quite the opposite. Societally, I think what we need to be teaching the long-term effects, much like we did with smoking, and look at a way that we can get through to young people and get through to people to know that they don't need it. But a massive part of that is going to be repairing the self-esteem of young people.
I was interested to learn more about what this very casual altering of our appearance for social media could do to our mental health. So I connected with Professor Tara Well for her psychological insight. Let's get to it. Hi, Professor Tara. I am so excited to hear your psychological insights on the use of beauty filters and the impact that they have on us. So before we dive in, will you just tell me a little bit about you and about your work,
Sure.
about your research?
I'm an associate professor of psychology at Barnard College in New York City, and my research has to do with mirrors and reflections. I'm an author of a book called Mirror Meditation, which is on the neuroscience of self-reflection and how others see us.
You wrote an article for Psychology Today titled The Hidden Dangers of Online Beauty Filters. Can you sum it up for us? What are these hidden dangers?
We're becoming more and more dependent on filters. Research shows that girls 13 and older, 90% of them have used beauty filters, and the majority of them say that they feel a tremendous pressure to do so. which means that we're giving young girls the message that how they look naturally is not okay, and they need to do things to alter their image to be accepted. We've created a curated, perfect image of ourselves that we know actually isn't us. That in and of itself can lead us to feel a lower sense of self-esteem, can also lead to, in extreme cases, body dysmorphic disorder, in which we focus so much on our flaws and are so worried that other people are going to see these flaws that are oftentimes things that other people don't even notice.
It is no surprise that these beauty filters and editing apps are reinforcing unrealistic beauty standards, but I would love to hear from you. What is the impact of using these filters on the individual?
One of the processes is that's called self-objectification. It's the idea that when we look in the mirror or when we create an image of ourselves, we see ourselves as an object rather than as a person. So when we see this object, we want to make it beautiful and make it perfect. So if you look at yourself in the mirror, or you take a selfie, or you use a beauty filter, and you're just seeing yourself as an object and you forget who you are, it can be detrimental to your mental health because you can kind of become disconnected to yourself.
Given that these beauty filters are probably here to stay, are there any tools or practices you would recommend implementing to kind of strike a balance in using these filters for social media?
I would say spend some time looking at yourself in the mirror. Every time you feel like posting a selfie, either turn your camera on yourself and just take a moment and look at the expression on your face as you're feeling the sense of, desperation or angst or whatever it is that's leading you to want to post, and see if you can have compassion for yourself. That there's something that you need and that you're not getting, and you can give that to yourself first by accepting who you are and what you look like in the moment.
Ultimately, I think the digital platforms are going to have to take so much more responsibility than they currently do, and they will only do that if pressure is put on them. Like, there needs to be public pressure and there needs to be pressure from the government, but we need to stay really hot on it, because as fast as the laws are being made, the technology is evolving. And then offline, I think really this is where most of us are going to have the most control, and I think we do need to take responsibility for our own feelings when it comes to social media. If we are feeling the need to use filters, we need to really sit with that and explore why we want to do that. We need to remember what's real at a time where everything is not.
So there you have it. Filters are fun, but it is important to not take everything you see on social media at face value. If you want to keep up with everything weird and wonderful happening in the world of social media, you know where to find me. Catch me next time on In the Know Behind the Screens.